Sarah Rising, written by Chapman, illustrated by Deanne Wiley. My morning started like any other. I ate most of my toast before running out the door to find food for my pets. Once I found enough leaves, I fed them to my beetles, and I put some toothpaste in my ant farm. They like it. Don't tell my dad. With everyone fed, I started getting ready for school. But then Dad came into my room. He said I wasn't going to school today. "Sarah, we're going to a protest." Dad told me that police had killed another black person. "They're supposed to serve and protect us," he said, "but they hurt us instead. That's why we have to keep each other safe and stand up for what's right." Soon we saw a huge crowd of people. They were all shouting for justice. I grabbed my dad's hand and we walked into the crowd. It was loud and scary, but I knew I was safe with Dad. He held my hand tight and began yelling with the crowd, "No justice, no peace." I almost shouted too. But then, a monarch butterfly flew right past me. I followed the butterfly as it fluttered, above the crowd toward a big building. Until it flew right in front of a cop's face. He jumped back like he was stung by a wasp. He smacked the colorful monarch out of the air. It fell to the ground and didn't get back up. I knew I had to do something. We have to keep each other safe and stand up for what's right. I ran toward the butterfly. The cop started shouting, "Get back!" he roared. He looked at me like I had done something wrong. I ran back into the crowd, pushing past people as tall as trees. A cop's job is to protect us, so why do they hurt us instead? I ran until I felt safe. Then I realized I didn't know where Dad was. I was scared and alone. I shouted for Dad for a long time, and for a long time, I didn't find him. Suddenly, one of the very tall people knelt down. Their face was full of worry, and they were holding a big sign. They asked if I needed help, and I told them what had happened. They let me sit on their shoulders so I could see over the forest of people. They kept me safe while we searched and shouted, but we couldn't find Dad. Until suddenly, I heard my name. Then I saw him. I jumped down from my person perch and ran to give Dad a big hug. We stayed at the protest for a while. This time I held his hand tighter and yelled with the crowd, "No justice, no peace." We got home just before the sun went down, and after dinner I went straight to bed. I wasn't really sleepy. It had been a sad and scary day. But Dad said, "It'll be okay. I'll keep you safe, just like you kept your butterfly safe. The sun will rise in the morning, like always." And it did. In the morning, I ate most of my toast before running out the door. I fed my pets their favorite snacks. And after a few days, my colorful monarch was all better. I set it free outside and watched it fly far away from anyone who could hurt it. Now let's talk about the history behind the story of Sarah Rising and what inspired it. On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. This was not the first time this has happened in Minnesota. Jamar Clark was killed in 2015, and Philando Castile was killed in 2016. After the murder of George Floyd, protests started in the Twin Cities. People wanted justice. They wanted the world to know that Black Lives Matter, not only for George Floyd, but for all of the times that Black people had been targeted by police. Most of the protests were peaceful, with the protesters carrying signs and marching for peace and justice. Whole communities of adults, kids, teachers, grandparents, and neighbors marched together, just like in the book. Some people decided to burn down the police station, and many buildings in Minneapolis were also burned. But that wasn't the point of the protests. The protests, like the one we read about in Sarah Rising, were about bringing everyone together and fighting for justice for everyone, not just the people in power, like the police. The police officer that killed George Floyd is now in prison for more than 20 years. 3 other police officers that stood and watched him kill George Floyd are also in prison for not stopping him. While these officers going to prison is a good thing, police officers have not stopped hurting Black people. Racism in America has not gone anywhere. That sounds scary. What can we do to help? You can speak up for your classmates that are being bullied. You can ask your parents and teachers questions about race and history. You can treat everyone with kindness and respect, no matter who they are. Make friends with others who are different from you, and always be ready to learn more. Now that we've learned about the history behind Sarah Rising, let's talk about it. Pause the video now and talk to the people around you.